Hi everyone, welcome to Bat Thrift Crazy. I have a thrift flip video for you today where I'm going to do 4 projects. So I'm just going to go on and get started with them. I hope you enjoy. You might remember this swan from a previous thrift video where I said I was going to cover it with moss. Well, someone had suggested putting transfer on it, and I thought I was going to take it one step further. So what I'm actually going to do is decoupage this paper mache swan. So we'll get started by first removing the ribbons from around his neck. I'm going to paint him a white using a craft paint that I probably picked up from Walmart that I've had in my stash for quite some time. I'll get started painting the bottom of the swan, and then once that dries, I'll paint the entire rest of the body, and I'm going to end up, I'm guessing, putting 2 coats of paint on this entire swan. So I did end up putting 2 coats of paint on him. He's all dry now. The whole reason for the paint underneath of the decoupage napkins that I'm going to use is to provide a white background so that the print pops more. And these beautiful napkins, believe it or not, I picked up at the $1.25 store. They're 2-ply. So first what you want to do, this is the hardest part for me, is to separate the front from the back. I always struggle with this. There we go. We're just going to separate that, put the backing aside, and then I'm going to start tearing the napkin into strips. This would be a good project for somebody that wants to give decoupage a try. Because this is a very forgiving project. You don't have to worry about, really don't have to worry about any kind of wrinkles in this because they're not very visible once you finish your project. I'm going to use some Mod Podge, and as I said before, I like to put mine out on a surface. I don't like to dip straight into the container that I'm working with. Although you could see this container was kind of small. And I've ripped up some pieces of the napkin into smaller chunks, and I'm doing the same here. Because we're not only going to use some larger strips on this swan, but there are definitely some areas here that are going to need some smaller kind of squared and chunks in order to fill in the smaller spaces. Now I'm not going to put any kind of decoupage paper on the bottom of the swan, but I do want to just wrap it around a tiny bit around the bottom, just so that when it's sitting on a flat surface, the decoration will go kind of all the way around the bottom. So here I'm just going to put on a layer of Mod Podge, and then lay my first napkin strip down and apply that with some more Mod Podge. And again, a very forgiving project here, so you can just adjust as you need to as you're working. So I'm going to continue to cover the swan with the Mod Podge and this beautiful napkin print, floral print. And here you can see I've made quite a bit of progress on his body. I have yet to finish his wings, his neck, and his head. And I'm going to continue in that same process of laying down the Mod Podge and then the paper, using strips and squares as I can best see that they're going to fit, and then one more layer of Mod Podge. So there you see, he is all finished and covered completely. You just want to make sure that all of your little pieces and your edges are down nice and flat, and that that second coat of Mod Podge is completely dry. If you like, you can put a kind of a third coat on it just to make sure that everything is nice and down and flat. But this one is all finished. Now for our second project, you might remember this bird that I thrifted, and this part here was broken on him. So a while back I thrifted this entire coil here of brass. So what I did was I snipped off a piece from the end of it here, and what I'm going to be doing is cutting off a triangle to put right on the end here. But first I want to remove, to make it easier to work on, there we go. I want to remove these and cut off this triangle piece here. So I'm just trying to determine whether I want the triangle to be here or if I want it to have ridges in it. Either way, I need to have this be a straight edge here. And I'm going to cut in a triangle. See if I like this. And I'd have to clip off those two edges to make that work. A little bit more. Let's see here. Yep. That could work. Again, trim that a little more. Okay. Now I want to make sure that this is nice and flat, or as flat as I can get it. Okay. Now it does have to be painted, and I've chosen this paint here. Couple of toothpicks to help me out. Okay, this is going to need a couple of coats. So we'll let this dry, then we'll come back and put on another coat. Okay, now that my little thing is all dry, I'm going to go ahead and put it, whoops, on the edge of my piece here. With some Fix-All. And using a toothpick here. And I do see some that's hanging over right there, so I want to trim that. There we go. I'm going to let that set and dry. Okay, now we're going to reassemble our clock. Putting this one on first. This one on. This bent up just a bit. Pop in our new battery. Yep. And there we go. He's all finished. here we have project number 4, which is this little box that I thrifted not too long ago. And I'm going to save this. And I'll save that too for a future project. Dump that out. And remove the sticker here. Go. And we're going to remove this sticker here. There we are. Now I'm going to do 1 coat of Waverly chalk paint in ivory on the bottom. Okay. Just going to scrape this off the bottom here a little bit. There we are. There we are. There. Okay. And I'm just going to do a little up there on the side there. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and paint interior as well. Okay, and then we'll wait for this to dry, and then we'll come back to give it a second coat of paint. While that's drying, we're going to go ahead and paint our lid. Okay. Now, I'll let that, whoops, dry. So, now I have done 3 coats on, did the inside and all of this. Inside here. Now we're going to work on this. And what I have is some textured wallpaper that I bought that I'm going to be putting on here. So we need, I'm going to measure this out a bit. Pull this down so you can see better what I'm doing. So I'm going to measure this out a bit. I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than what I need. So I'm going to mark it about here. And now we'll see how much of this we are going to need. Right about there. right about up to here. So now this is the flat side. What I want to do is, I'm going to do it here to this. I want to glue this down all the way around here. There. Now I do want to get a more even cut here. So let me go ahead and make our cut there. That's not a very straight cut, is it? Let's see if we can get something straighter here. All right, so now we're going to take our flat side here and make sure that this is started, that it's nice and flat against there. And I think, yep, I'm really going to need to make sure I put it down here and right there. I want to make sure that that lays nice and flat. And that overlaps, but it's a nice straight line here, overlapping. And now I'm going to put it on the paper itself. Switched off for this because this is sharper and fresher. So now what I want to do is cut that paper. Okay. Now, what we're going to do down here, I'm going to add some rivets. But for rivets, we're going to use some thumbtacks from the Dollar Tree. But first, we have to clip off the pokey part. See how we're going to use them now as rivets. And a little bit of hot glue also. There we go. Okay, and there we have our rivets. I'm going to let those dry, cool down a little bit. Then what we're going to do is take some more of our chalk paint, our Waverly free chalk paint, and we're going to paint this, including our rivets. Okay, so as you can see, this is going to need at least one more coat of paint, maybe two. So we'll let that dry and then we'll be back. Now, while we are waiting for that to dry, we're going to put a transfer on the top. So we can go ahead and do that. And there's the transfer that I have chosen. It's a green butterfly. And since I want to try and get the entire butterfly on here, I'm not going to center him. I'm going to move him down a little bit. So let me see where I'm going to put him. I'm going to try and get as much of the wings on here as I can get. What I can't get, we'll just wrap around a little bit. There we go. And that turned out so pretty. That came out really pretty. I like that a lot. Okay, so now we're dry, and I have put 3 coats on this all together. And next I'm going to do is distress this. So let's start with the top here. We're just going to distress the edges. Just some light distressing on that. And then next, the fun part is distressing here. And see how this looks. That's good on the distressing. Now, just going to wipe it off. And any of the dust. And next, I'm going to seal it with some Waverly Clear Wax using my wax brush here. Start with the excess here with the paper towel. Once that is all dry, this is dry, I'll do the bottom and project will be finished. So for the final project, we have this rolling pin that we're going to be distressing the ends and putting on this pretty strawberry and leaf transfer. But first, I'm going to wipe it off, clean it all off here. And I'm going to sand this a little bit because I'm noticing this is a little bit shiny. So I want to make sure that it's going to take our paint. So let's go ahead and just sand this a bit, just to take some of that shine off. There we go. There we go. I think the first thing I'm going to do is put the transfer on and decide the placement of this. I'm going to kind of do a dry run first with it. It's going to have some wraparound, as you can see. It's not bad. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So let's take this off. And place our transfer down, wrapping it around. That didn't quite get where I wanted it. Let's see if we can pick this up without any of the transfer staying on the rolling pin, because that was not quite where I wanted it placed. So I'm going to gently remove it. Okay, good. And it is coming. Oh, nope. Wait, let's see here. Oh, nope, I'm stuck with that placement because it started to come off. So I'm stuck with the placement where it is. And you can see this. That's okay. We can live with that. Okay, so let's start with the tool and placing our transfer on the rolling pin. There we go. So that is all finished. But let's take this and now we'll burnish this. And so you can also do this with your fingers, wax paper, or saran wrap, but this is here. I'll not use what comes with. This just ensures that your transfer is completely down on your surface. We're able to fix that. So there we go. Now you might think we're finished, but we're not. Because what I want to do is kind of distress these handles to make this look old and weathered. So I've chosen this Palm Leaf by Apple Barrel paint to do that. And I'm just going to do we are just going to do the handle. One coat's going to be good because we're going to be distressing this. Now this might be a little brighter than I was hoping for. So what I'm going to do, putting a little of the elephant gray on top of it to try and darken it a little bit. Okay. Now we'll let these dry and then we'll come back and distress. I have to say I'm really happy with the color of this after adding that gray on there. And now what we're going to do is distress these handles to make them look weathered so that this looks old. Now I'm debating on whether or not to use, let's first try this. So it would be where your hand is holding on. So that looks pretty good. Now let's do the other. Okay. So there we go. This one is all finished too. that was it. That was everything. I hope you enjoyed the projects. And if you would, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite project was. I want to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button if you did enjoy the video, and the subscribe button if you're new to my channel and you want to see more thrift flip videos. And until next time, everyone, please take very good care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye.